Hello and welcome for China Solved. This is Andrew Hubert and another Casual Friday. Today's topic is Chinese negotiating styles, the accommodator. As you remember, a few weeks ago we started our conversation on Chinese negotiating styles by looking at the 5 categories or types that all negotiators fall into. These include competitive, compromising, accommodating, avoiding, and collaborating. Today we're going to take a closer look at the Chinese negotiating style of accommodators. Now, the accommodative style, someone who cares a lot about his counterparty, is something that's very common in China. And it begs the question, when you run into accommodative negotiators in China, is it construct or is it culture? Chinese culture definitely attaches more importance to traits like hospitality, harmony, and control of aggressive emotions and negative behavior. But anyone who's lived in China or had first-hand interaction with Chinese people can tell you that they can be very vocal and forthright when they want to be. So the verdict is that accommodating or yielding negotiating behavior is at least part tactic, and it might be all tactic, and that's what we're going to be looking at for the rest of our talk. How does this manifest? How do we spot accommodating or yielding behavior on the part of a Chinese counterparty? Well, there are 3 big behaviors to look for, and the first is flattery. The second manifestation of accommodating behavior is approval. They love your plan, they love your new product, they think that your business is going to be tremendously successful. And the third thing is acquiescence. This is something you see in meetings from partners or from staff. You're always right. Everything you say is right. They have nothing to add, they have nothing to criticize, they wouldn't think about contradicting what you say. So when it comes to negotiating, you've got to be on the lookout for what I call the revenge of the yielders. This is the way passive-aggressive behaviors show up in actual negotiation. Tactic number 1 is what I call guanxi buddies. And these are people who have a lot of insider knowledge, a lot of connections, a good network, and they are just bending over backwards to help you out. And these guys are basically looking for a job. And we have the same guys at home. This is a universal thing. It's just, I'm warning you to be on the lookout because it tends to be more effective in China for whatever reasons. There's nothing necessarily wrong with these guys as long as you don't really believe them. Number 2 is a little bit more dangerous. That's the wolf in sheep's clothing. And again, they're flattering you, but this time they are not after the cash payout. They're after something a little bit deeper. They are trying to gain your confidence, trying to get you to lower your guard, and now they're going to try to grab your IP, your technology, your designs, or your assets. Every case of fraud, of counterfeiting, of IP theft started out with someone telling you how smart you were and how wonderful your technology is. Number 3 is what I call the passholes, passive-aggressive individuals, and these are staff or partners who you ask for honest feedback. You ask for an opinion about a business plan, an application for some sort of government approval, some new product, and everything looks fantastic. Everything looks great. In fact, they know it doesn't stand a chance, but they won't tell you that. Why do they do this? Why do they lie to you about how wonderful your plans are when they know that they're not going to be successful? No one knows. Number 4 is the bait and switch with a Chinese flair to it. In this case, a mid-level salesman or executive is going to assume a great deal of authority that later it's going to turn out he doesn't have. And he's going to negotiate with you, seemingly in good faith. You're going to make concessions. He's going to make concessions. And his concessions will be huge. I mean, it's going to look like you're getting the better of this deal. Later, however, it's going to turn out that nothing he said carries any weight at all. He didn't have the authority, he wasn't supposed to be talking to you at all, he doesn't work here. But everything you said, all your concessions, are carved in stone, and you're going to be expected to honor them. But for the Chinese side, it's now a blank slate, and their senior guy gets to start all over and renegotiate his end of the deal. And number 5 is the good old-fashioned fishing trip. Here, an earnest young entrepreneur or a startup is being very supportive, very agreeable. He wants to help you, but he's got a problem. He doesn't know how to finish a business plan. He doesn't know how to do marketing. He doesn't know how to design the product. He doesn't know how to do something that you do. And you're going to jump in and fill in all the blanks, which wouldn't be bad, except now he's disappeared. And you have furnished him with some valuable information and soft skills, and sometimes some hard technology, and you've got nothing to show for it. Now let's take a look at something that it could be a little more significant and a little bit more damaging to your company. I call this the balance of power shift, or the BOPS for short. This is a strategy that may involve a joint venture, may involve a partnership, may involve some investment, and will almost always involve some technology transfer. Chinese negotiators will often intentionally put themselves in a subordinate position at the start of a relationship. You're coming into a partnership and you're coming in from the outside, except instead of coming in at the bottom and working your way up, or coming in as an equal partner, you're coming in as the leader, as the boss. And you're so smart and so experienced, and these poor befuddled Chinese have no clue. And you're going to be the one that comes up with the idea of transferring in technology, of figuring out ways to streamline their procedure, and you're going to argue with them to start doing what you know is best for them and bring it into the 21st century. The problem is that once you've done this, once you've injected the technology, invested the funds, reformed their business plan, and fixed up their company, then you no longer serve any useful purpose. You've outlived your usefulness. So now it's time for you to go. And they're going to help you to go by engineering a conflict, or they're going to change the deal terms, or there's going to be a regulatory problem, or a local government problem, or there's going to be some sort of dispute, and before you know it, you are being shown the door. Don't blame them, because this whole thing was your idea from the beginning. And that's the BOPS, that's the balance of power shift. And that is why you have to be careful when you're negotiating with accommodators in China. Thank you very much for ChinaSolved. This has been Andrew Hubert. I look forward to talking to you about some of the other Chinese negotiating styles and types later.